Hello everyone. This is a new project. We're going to call this video the dock project. This is our dock. We have a cabin at the lake that we've had for 22 years, and we're building a dock out of aluminum. You see my son over there. He's TIG welding aluminum. It's going to be a beautiful dock. This is just the first section. Take a look at it. We started it last weekend. You see it's got legs on one end, but not on the other. So this end over here sits on the shore, and that end over there sits in the water. Then we got another 18-foot section that's 4 feet wide like this one is, and that will be the ramp that goes to the floating sections. And we'll be starting the floating sections later on today. Lots of work to be done though. Like you can see these things here. These first two sections, these things are 3 inches long. It's not going to be as thick as the floating sections. The floating sections are going to be 6 inches long. And you can see that's what I'm doing right now. I'm cutting these pieces here. So these pieces are 6 inches long. And those are going to be the uprights that Thad welds in there. But that's what I'm doing. I'm butting these up here. I'm cutting them, and then I've got to grind them. I got to use one of the grinders over there to grind all the crap off the end and to grind it all around, because when you're welding aluminum you want it to be really clean, so you just grind that stuff right off of there. But yeah, we're at his he works for a factory company, so we've got access to all the stuff here. Like this thing here, we started with 5 by 10 foot sheets of this stuff here, and you just put it in there and it just goes and it just cuts it, and then that machine over there bends it. So we're going to be doing some of that later too, because we're going to need to bend some more channels. I'll show you what I mean over here. I didn't want to get too close to it because I don't want to blind myself, but these are the things that we made when we were bending. This was flat aluminum and now it's bent, but it's really strong when you do it like that, right? So that's why we did that. Still got to grind down a little bit of this stuff in here so the boards fit in. We just brought a few boards down to make sure that it all looks good and everything. They'll probably be spaced a little bit apart a little bit more than what they are. We just set them in there, and we wanted to stand on and make sure that it was pretty strong. When we first put it together last weekend, he just tacked it together. So you just put, just a partial weld here and here, right? And all the way around. Everything was just tacked like that, and it was really weak, and I thought, oh no, we're not doing the right thing. But then once he welded it all and put all the braces in the middle and everything, now it's pretty strong. So I'm gonna stop here. Oh yeah, he started the grinding process over there. So I'm gonna just cut it off here, and I'll come back later when we got something more to show you. What did you do right here?
Yeah. Oh, cut that part.
What's that?
Oh, I welded these corners, but they're hard to get in there, so they're good. Wow, this thing's pretty well welded now. I just want to clean up a couple parts of it. We'll probably flip it over so I can fill those in. Yeah, somewhere. You want to picture that one? It's hard to get anything, so you don't do pretty ones there.
Yeah. This is where the dock is going to connect to the ramp section. We're going to drill holes in here and put we don't want to use aluminum. We're going to put steel over top of that. It's going to be stronger. You got to build it for the worst weather, right? This is the 18-foot section now. This goes on at the end of the 12-foot section. That is just welding the channel in here. See, this is the channel right here, the piece that we bent. And that's what the boards sit on top of. You can see that he's welding it down into here. So that's where the board will sit on. But the dock is upside down right now. He's putting this 1-inch piece underneath it here so that he knows that it's in the right spot. This is the longest, but this ramp is not sitting on anything. It will be connected between the floating dock and the dock with the legs on it that's over there. So that's what he's doing. I'm putting the finishing touches on this one over here. Look here, I'll show you what I mean. You see all this black stuff around here. First thing I did was I went around with a grinder and like I felt with my hand along everything looking for any sharp pieces or anything and grinded them off. And now I'm getting all that black stuff off. Like you can see over here, there's no black stuff on here. I'm not feeling like there's a little bit over there, so I think I started here. I started working my way around here. Long process. I thought it was just a matter of putting it together. Little did I know. But I tell you, it's just going to be an incredible dock when it's done. Anyway. Okay, so this one's done here. Brad was going to cut some pieces here. I was telling you about this machine earlier. So you just set, he's using the tape measure to check and make sure that that number's not off. It seems pretty accurate though. You go for 2.5 inches? Hear that? Like it would take you a long time to build a dock if you had to cut pieces like I would have to at home. Look at those pieces though. It's almost like we're cheating.
I gotta figure out the right.
But he's put the channel in on both sides over here now for the boards to go on. You can see that one over on that side there. And this one over here. It's that's what he's doing now. He's making more. See, what he just cut there is what you're looking at here. It's just that it's bent. So I'll show you how floppy it is beforehand. So it doesn't look like much, right? Like it's easy to bend and everything. But once you fold it up, then it's not easy to bend anymore. It's actually even stronger than that square over there, the tubing. So you're making cross channels now?
Yeah.
For all 3 of these places?
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
Hold this piece up better.
Are they all the same?
Just like 16 off in some spots.
Yeah, we hope to be done with this piece, both of these pieces by today. And then tomorrow we're going to do a 16-foot floating section. We were going to try to have it out to the lake next weekend, but I don't think we're going to get it done. It's more work than I thought it was going to be. Plus, we both have full-time jobs, right? So, it's not like we could just go all day for 2 or 3 days in a row and get it done. We've only got the weekends really to do it. And Todd's been pushing himself, staying a couple extra hours here at work at night, getting it done. So he's just cutting more pieces over here. Now he's cutting it for length. It's just way easier to cut it with this machine here. Rather than take it off on the other end, now he's taking it off on this end. He's just measuring out as far as he needs. And he's just cutting off the piece he doesn't need. Doesn't sound like it's even cutting anything off.
It only took a 16th off.
Oh, I see. If I was at home with tin sticks, I'd say, oh, that's good enough. Last one. This used to be a 5-foot by 10-foot chunk of aluminum. Cut it down to now. This is the only piece we have left here. You got the other one set up to bend already? This is where you bend it. So now we're going to bend them 90 degrees.
It's over 90. But it doesn't matter.
See, I can't possibly bend that. It's really strong now. I tell you, if you were to buy this dock, it would cost you a lot of money. Because we're making it ourselves, though. It'd be about the same cost as building out of wood, which doesn't give you nearly as nice of a dock. It's much heavier, not as durable. Like this dock will probably outlast us. So you get the idea there. Okay, so here we are. It's the next day. Kaz decided to put another brace on the legs on the initial section. This is the section that sits in the water but also sits on the shore. He's a little bit of a monkey. He's just putting that cross brace on. We're just about to start the floating section here. We're just putting the finishing touches. on on the ramp and the floor section. I've been cleaning this section up here. This is the ramp, 18-foot ramp. But you remember, I think the last time I showed you, we was about to put these in. These are really strong. That's going to have a lot of stability. I was worried about this section because this section's not going to have any floaties underneath it, and yet it's 18 feet long, right? But it's, here, I'm just leaning on it now. It doesn't move at all. Like when I put all my weight on it. So it's going to be just fine. You're kind of worried, like when you could get 4 or 5 or 6 people walking across it at the same time. I mean, that could be 500 or 600 pounds, but I think it's going to be okay. And hopefully people are not dumb enough to do that anyway. He's welded these things on the end here because you have to connect one dock to the other, right? But there's going to be a steel pad on top of this one as well, because this is just aluminum, and aluminum's not going to be strong enough to take the pulling that you get from the big waves and everything, right? Like where we are at Clucas Lake, you get some pretty extreme weather out there, so you have to build it for the strongest weather, right? So we're going to put steel pad over top, but I guess steel and aluminum don't mesh too well, Thad tells me. So he's going to have to put some kind of maybe a rubber pad in between them or something, and then bolt the steel to the aluminum, and then it'll be the same on the other side. Whatever dock connects to that one, it'll be aluminum and then steel, and then there'll be a connector thing, right? You'll see in the end. Anyway, this one's pretty much all cleaned up. I think that was ready to go. This one should be just about ready to go. We got to put something on this end here, some kind of weight, because this dock is a pretty close configuration to the old dock, and with the ramp that's going on that end over there, that tends to flip this thing up, because this section isn't secured to the ground. It just sits there because you want to have some give there, otherwise, you know, like it's just going to break it at the end here if you get a severe storm. So you just want it to be able to move around on the shore. So we're going to have to put some kind of weight down at this end so that it doesn't flip up. So we're just about done here, just about ready to do one of the floating sections. We were hoping that the floaties would have been here by now, but they're not. Home Depot dragging their feet on delivering, but they should be here in the coming weeks. So we won't be able to finish the floaties today, that's for sure, because we need to know exactly where to drill the holes. Looking at the picture and having the floaty there are two different things, right? So we will only be able to do the top part of the frame, not really the bottom part where the floaties are going to attach to it. Okay, so we've just started on the first floating section. This section is going to be at the end of that ramp over there, and it's going to be heading out into the lake. There's another section that's a T section that's even bigger than this one. You can see how large this is. When we set it down, we go, holy shit, that's big. So our dock is going to be one huge dock. We've managed to get it square and everything, measuring it from corner to corner. And Todd is just welding the corners now. And then we've got the other one that's sitting over here, and we're going to sit down on top of this one and weld that, because there's two levels, right? There's the bottom level and the top level. And this one is going to be a little thicker than that one over there. Like the uprights are going to be 6 inches long instead of 3 inches long. So this one's going to be twice as high as the other one. But don't remember, this is the floating section, not the fixed section. It'll be a huge dock though. Really, really big. Before it was 16 feet long, just like it is here, but it was only 6 feet wide. This is 8 feet wide, so we're going to have a lot more space. Okay, so I need to cut this sheet into 15 pieces. This is what we're going to make channel in it. The channel I'm making now is going to be connected to the floaties at the bottom of the floating docks. So I'm going to make them for both sections, not just the 16-foot section. So anyway, I'll show you how that's done. Just got to make sure it's butted up good.
that tape measure? So I just want to check it now. Check the first one, make sure it's good. Okay, so we're just gonna, that's why you check the first one so you don't cut them all wrong. Okay? So, let's put it in again. I got a foot pedal here that does the cutting. So you get the idea, right? I'm just gonna keep doing this.
Okay, so we're just about ready to start welding on this dock. First of all, it was a lot of head scratching and figuring out and and racing and starting over again, and because everything, it's not a perfect science here, right? Like the dock didn't come in a box and everything measured, and we're kind of doing this on the fly, right? So I'll show you what we have to do here. Like you've seen these uprights here, right? These things here. Anyway, you can see we've got all of these marked off where they're going to be like that. Now this one here is only 5 inches tall. So come down here. Now the rest of them are 6 inches tall. So here's a 6-inch one. See, that's quite a bit bigger. The dock's going to be quite a bit bigger than or quite a bit thicker than the other sections. The reason there's 6 and 5 is because right about here, I think. Here, I keep forgetting I don't have my my wide-angle lens on. Sorry about that. So right about here, what's going to happen is the dock is going to flare out. So it's going to be like a triangle here. So that it's going to flare out here, and on the other side, it's going to flare out as well. And then the T section is going to be up there. So it just makes the deck a little bit wider. You'll see when it's finished, it makes the deck wider. But the reason that these need to be 1 inch shorter is because that's the thickness of the boards, right? These boards are 1 inch thick here. So what's going to happen is instead of 2 of these things side by side, like instead of being able to, this is the bottom one, but think of the top one though. Instead of seeing the top one here, what you'll see is boards instead. Like the boards will come right to the edge instead of being on the inside like the rest of the boards. When we go out this way, and so there's better continuity between this section and the triangle section. Now the triangle section will be part of this dock here, part of the 16-foot dock. But like you can see here, where we've got this drawn and there's another one drawn over there. That's it's going to be bolted onto this. Like it'll be a separate piece, but it'll be bolted onto this section. The other section is just going to have hinges on it, like the dock is over there. It's going to stretch out this way, and then there'll be hinges on it so that the T section can float freely. You'll see that I've drilled all these holes here, right where all the uprights are going. That's because if you don't do that, then when you're welding around one of these things, then the pressure builds up inside, right? There's gas inside of here. So if you don't drill those holes so that the gas can escape, then the pressure builds up and it starts blowing back on you when you're getting near the end of the weld, because it's got no place to escape, and then it just makes for a shitty weld, right? So if you want to do a good job, then you have to have somewhere for the air to go. And we put them on these things here because you weld this over top of it and then you don't see those holes. Now there's other places where, like let me find something on this dock where they were welded that we had to cover them up. I don't see any right now, but anyway, like you just weld it and then you have to grind it and everything afterwards. Now this here, this is a thicker channel than on the other ones because these docks are bigger and they're floating. There's just more stress on them, right? So this channel here is going to go upside down. This is, remember those pieces that I just cut, right? Well, we bent those pieces. It's really, really strong now. Like if you could feel this, how strong that is. It's not just a floppy big piece of aluminum anymore. So what's going to happen is that these will go from one end of the dock to the other in the right place. Like it won't be right there, but from one end to the other, and that's what the floaties are going to be bolted to, is bolted to these things here. I'm not sure if they're going to be this way up or this way up, but that knows, and that's all that matters, right? So anyway, these will be welded to this bottom piece, but the top piece there will be bars like you seen the bar down the middle of that one. There's going to be 3 bars on this one, going the full length, and that'll be the top of them, because you need the support underneath those 1-inch boards. They're not that strong, so we were going to have just 2 of them, but just in the last 20 minutes we had a debate about that and decided we better spend a little bit more money and get another bar. I think these bars, you buy them, they're 20 feet long. I think they're, I don't know what he said, so between $55 and $75. So it's going to add to the price of the dock for sure, because we need one for this and one for the 20-foot dock. But writing it down on paper and taking a look at it here, you can certainly see the difference, right? You can see, okay, well, it's not going to be good enough to have a over 3-foot span of a 1-inch board that you're walking on. It's just not going to be very good, right? So anyway, we're going to add that 3rd bar in the middle there. So that's where we're at now. Okay, so we are hopefully on our last day here. We're just about done. We've got the boards to put on these 2 sections here. So this is the T section. This is the last section to be done. It's quite large. It's 20 feet long by 8 feet wide. You can see it still needs the boards on top of it, and a couple of little things, the bumpers and things like that. You see this triangle here? This part here is where the ladder is going to mount to. But step back and look at it. See, it's got to have doors on top of it. See, there's another. This is the 16-foot section that goes out from the shore. You see, there's a triangle there. Well, the other triangle I showed you is going to be over there, and then the T will be at the end of it there. So it'll just make it a little bit bigger, like you'll be able to walk over there, and then the ladder will be on this triangle over here. You see these things here. This is where the docks are going to connect to that, right? We've still got to put the face plates on. And over here, starting to look closer to a finished product. I just need to screw these down. My last trip to the store last night to get, I've been cutting boards all day yesterday. I forgot my camera yesterday. Using this saw here, Milwaukee saw, to cut all the boards. You see these 2 groups of boards here. These are for those triangles. They're all measured and everything and ready to go on. But then I needed to go to the store and get all the nuts and bolts and everything to do that. We didn't want to go to the store again until we were ready to go. And here's that first section there, the 12-foot section. Like that end over there will sit on the shore. And then these legs, we're going to have to shorten them by about 4 inches. I've been to the lake since then and measured how long it should be. We were just guessing before. We're going to take about 4 inches off there. All the boards here have been cut. They just need to be put on. And also another thing that I'm doing is, because you look here, you see the welds in here, right? So the boards aren't going to sit very well. So what I've done here is I've sanded these down. And I've done that to the ends of all the boards. And then to the end boards here, I've done it a little more around the whole thing. But most of them are just the ends of the boards here that I've done. You can see I've sanded them down just so they fit inside the welds. Then there's 1x4s here. We're going to tie them all together with 1x4s. Rather than screwing every single board down to the aluminum dock, we're gonna make sections. So that 18-foot section I just showed you with all the boards on, that'll probably be 3 sections. And so we'll screw these together underneath onto the boards, and then we can just take them out 3 sections at a time, right? And then also we don't have to use so many bolts to screw down the boards to the dock. Like I've done that. I've had a dock for over 20 years, right? And just the amount of screws that you have and how many you waste and everything, because every time you've got to take them off to do something, you know, they get breaking them and things like that. So I'm trying to get to the point where I can use less screws. What I wanted to do was put a strap down here, but Thad didn't like that idea, like so that there would be no screws going through the boards, it would just be held down. But we're going to try it his way. So it'll just be, you know, like a third of this will be one section. So it'll be screw down there, screw down there, screw down over there, and then screw down over there. And then they're all tied together, all the boards underneath with those 1x4s. Anyway, that's all I got now. I got to get going because we're going to try to have this dock in the water today. And we've got a ways to go. It's still an hour out of town, and then probably 2 or 3 hours from the boat launch to where the dock is going. And as you can see, we're not finished. We've got a long ways to go. We got some help coming today though. Okay, so we're getting near the end of the day here. We didn't get the dock out to the water today, even though we had some help. A couple guys came by and helped us, and that was great. But it's more work than you think. You know, when you think, okay, this is how much it is, and then there's more and more and more, and there's running to the hardware store again. So this, I think I mentioned this earlier about these 1x4s. What I'm doing is strapping them. You see, like these ones here have been screwed in here, right? And these screws are just long enough so they don't poke through the other side. This is the bottom of the dock, right? Or the bottom of the deck. It's actually the top of the dock here, but that's the bottom of the deck. So these things will get flipped over, and then they will be bolted down. I'll show you how they're bolted down. But anyway, so, but like you don't want to get too many because then it's too big, right? So these were from the T section here. This is the T section all done and stored. We didn't bolt them onto the T section because that would make it too heavy for transport. So we're going to wait until we have it on the trailer, and then we will put these on there. And then all we got to do is put one bolt in each corner, right? One there, one over there, and one over there. And then that'll be that section. And then do that with the other sections as well. There's 5 sections. And there'll be 5 sections here as well. You can see here where the triangles, where are the triangles? That triangle over there. So this is where it's going to start over here. Let me just move this back. So the triangle is going to start here. So that's why, like this thing here, the boards are going on the inside, but then over here they're going to come on the outside, so that there's not two bars going down. What you'll see is, and you'll see that when the dock is done, it'll be boards on boards here. There will just be a little gap in between the boards on this dock and the boards on the triangle section. There's more of those 1x4s. I've already got them cut. And so that's what that looks like over there. There's the T here. Thad's working on the T. It's all done except for the connections and the bumpers. This would be the outside of the dock here. So this is where the boat parks, is right where I'm showing you right here, except there'll be water there, obviously. But we got to put a couple of bumpers on there. Don't see them, they're around here somewhere, but those will go on as well. But the boards, I've shown you the boards way over there. This thing is all done for that. It's just a matter of putting these things on. There's going to be 4 of these. And then on the other side, there'll be those ones. So those ones connect to these ones. Thad was shaking his head though. Look at how crooked these things are. I don't know if you can tell, but this thing's crooked, but this thing is straight. See, it matters that this is straight, right? But yeah, I'm not sure who would have done that, but so this is what I mean by bolted down. I showed you this one earlier before it was done. So these are carriage bolts, and that looks pretty good. Like so you're not stubbing your toe or anything, right? It's just it sucks down in, and then it's a bolt as well. I don't know if you can see it up there, but it's like here. This is what it looks like right here, right? There's a washer and a lock washer. So that holds it. When you screw it down, it just sucks that right into the wood, right? And there's a square there, so the square holds it. So that'll look pretty nice. Like that'll look like a nice clean. This one is completely done. This section here, and you can see how clean it looks, except for all the crap on top of it. the section that's going onto the shore there, it's got to sit on rocks, right? Or well, actually a rock wall. And so I seen these on my way out of the hardware store today. They're for stairs. And so we're going to put these underneath the end of the dock so you can see how thick that is. It's all rubber, right? So that'll keep it from wearing. It's like not this section, but the other section. It just keep wearing this down here. So we're gonna put a pad underneath there, like an aluminum pad, and then we're gonna stick those pads to it, and then that will keep it from wearing on the dock, right? Like we might have to replace those every few years, but at least we won't have to replace the dock, right? And all the boards are cut for this section here. They're all ready to go. They're cut in bevels. Like you can see the bevel here. How it's beveled like that. That's because of the welds. I think I showed you that earlier. You see the welds on the inside. The boards don't sit there very well unless you do that. So we just did all the boards because we don't know which board's going to go where, and you know, even if they did go in the right spot, are they going to go in the right spot next year, right? When we take it apart. So they're just all beveled and they're all ready to go. So we beveled the bad side and then the good side goes up, right? Anyway, we're gonna get this thing out there Friday night for sure. So, all right, so we're on the home stretch here. I know we were trying to get it done last weekend. I was telling you we were racing around, but man, it got to be like 8 o'clock at night, and you know, it would have been hours to load it up, hours to drive it out there, hours to get it. There was just no way. Like we might have got it done by Monday at breakfast. Anyway, so it's Thursday night, and our plan is to get this in the water by Friday, because we got lots of guests coming out to the cabin on Saturday morning. So we're gonna get some help. So the guys that were here last weekend, a couple other guys. This is the T section here that Thad's just working on. We're just Let me show you these. These are from Dock Edge. These are foam filled floats. You just got to tighten this down. Like you leave it open because I noticed when I got them, they were sitting in the sun and they started to bloom out. And so that just lets the air out. But now, yeah, of course, you want to tighten it so the water doesn't. But these are really, really nice dock floats. And believe me, I know the difference because I've had a dock for a long, long time. These things are real nice. So that's them there. They're 2 feet wide by 4 feet long, and we're securing them down with 3/8 hex bolts, 2 1/4 long, and all the fixings that go along with it, the lock washers and stuff. I was just making a hell of a noise over here. But you can see they fixed down at 6 different places here. If you remember those flat iron pieces that I cut on the shear inside there, and then we bent, this is them here. So these used to be flat pieces, and then they were bent, and they're really, really strong. Like they're probably even stronger than these pieces down here that were already square. So that's what we used to put the dock floats on. And then Thad, of course, he welded them on here. But anyway, that was the plan all along that we drew up. And you can see on this one over here, this is the 16-foot section. Those are already on there. So we'll be working on this as soon as we get this one done. I'm not sure what we got left. Still got to put the hardware on this one.
This one's good.
This one's done?
Yeah.
So we just got to put the boards on.
Yeah, we're just gonna throw it up there and stop.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on the trailer. I'll show you the trailer. We're hoping this trailer's big enough. We don't own a trailer, so we got a lot of dock to go on this thing. We gotta put the 20-foot section down, then we gotta put the 16-foot section on top of that, and then the other sections on top of those, and whatever else, like the ladder and the triangle pieces. Everything's got to go on here. We get to use this thing for free because it needed some work on it, and so Thad did the work on it for the guy. He repaired it for him, and the payment is that we get to use it. So that's awesome. Anyway, I'll come back when it's time to load. Okay, it's loading time. It's a good thing we have a forklift because I can barely lift that thing when there's no floaties on it. But those floaties are, what are they, 45 pounds each. So that's times 6, right? So that's pretty heavy. Looks like it's gonna fit though. That's good.
Oh, you know what?
But
That fucking thing getting in my way.
what is?
What's my gap on that heading crack there?
You got about 6 inches.
Yeah, pretty good lower.
You can go forward a bit, Thad. There's still a little bit of room on the other side. Looks like it'll fit on perfectly if you fit it right to the edge there.
I can't, yeah. How is it? Better or
No, it's got to go over a little bit further.
that way?
Yeah.
Wow, lots.
Okay, that's good right there. Yeah, we can move it around by hand too while it's up there. Excellent. So after we get this one on there, we're just gonna put the boards on top. Then we're gonna forklift this one over. And there goes the trailer. We unloaded the dock. You can see that it worked pretty good. We just pulled it into the water just like a boat and pushed it off the back. It was a little exciting. Now Welly, he's pretty happy. It's his stag this weekend. That's why we had to get the dock out now. So he's gonna ride it all the way back to the cabin, I think. Couple beers already. Anyway, okay, so I didn't get any footage of bringing the dock over here. We brought it out Friday night, and the weather was pretty bad actually. It was ugly out, and then I had to be in town for the weekend. It was my granddaughter's first birthday, so Thad stayed out, and him and his buddies, they put the dock together. It's Monday today, and I came out to do the last finishing touches. My friend and I, we put the ladder on and did a couple other things there. So if you didn't want to watch that other stuff, you should have fast forwarded to now, and then you could see the end result. Let me just take you down here first. Try not to kill myself. Give you a shot of the side view here. It turned out even better than I thought it would. This dock is going to last for years and years and years. Like, we'll have to replace the boards, but this dock will still be here after I die, long after I die. I'm sure of it. I don't think you got a very good look at the floaties there. The water is kind of gross today though. We've got this bloom in there today, but that only usually when it comes along, it only lasts a couple days. So I'm not too worried about that. It will color the dock up a bit, but then the good water will come along and splash that off too, so don't worry about that at all. So this, as you remember, this is the 12-foot section, and here's the 18-foot section that we built. You notice there, you don't see any screws in this dock. There's actually 598 screws in it, but you can't see any of them. That's kind of cool. Like I show you, that's my part of my old dock over there. It was all screws. Like, you could see screws everywhere. Each board had 6 screws in it, and I really didn't like that. So I've hidden all the screws underneath the deck here. And then I haven't quite finished doing this yet. It just started to rain a couple minutes ago, but you see these, I've got carriage bolts, and it's holding down, like, this is one section here from there to the end. I showed you that when we were building it. These you hadn't seen these yet. These are the bumpers for the boat here, so the boat doesn't bounce against the shore. And this is my regular parking spot. I bring the boat out in the spring, and then I leave it here until the fall. I don't drive it back and forth, so it's got to be secure while it's on the dock here. Anyway, So yeah, and I point it this way because the bad weather, when we get a storm, comes from this direction. If you go straight this way, it's about 650 kilometers to the ocean. And we're right almost dead center in the province of British Columbia here, like just within a few kilometers. And then that way is the east over there where the Rocky Mountains are. And so we don't get much weather. Like you see the waves are going this way. That's unusual for out here. When you get a bad storm though, it's going to come from this direction. That's why the boat is pointed this way. And you have to know your weather and your lake when you're building a dock. Like the slack, you can't see them because they're underwater, but in each corner over here, can you see down there the chain that's tied? So there's chain tied here and there's chain tied on the other corner. There's actually 6 chains on this dock, and then they crisscross, like the weight for this chain will be down on the other side. You got to make sure that you leave some slack in there, because if you don't, then when the waves come along, they're just going to pick the dock up and just hop it along, and then you'll be finding your dock somewhere down the lake over there. So that's something that I learned when on my boat. I came out here the weekend after I tied my boat up to a tire over here, and I found the boat way down the lake over there. So and that was 1,100 pound weight. It doesn't care how much weight you have. So I really love these things here. This was an afterthought that we added afterwards, was putting these, we call them wings, on here. And it kind of, like the ladder used to be over here on the old dock right here. Now we get it out of the way. That's an extra 36 square feet putting those 2 triangles on here. So that worked out really well. I just put the rope on there, just a little bit extra, holding the dock. Like we get some really extreme storms coming on this lake sometimes up here in northern British Columbia. But it was a nice day today though. We went boating all day today, and yeah, it's you see there's hardly any boats on this lake. That's because it's Monday for one thing, and the other is there's no place to camp on this lake. There's no public beaches or anything. The lake is about 25 kilometers long, which is I guess about 60 miles for my American friends there, and there's no place to camp on this lake. So the only people that are here are the people that have a cabin out here, or their friends. Want to see some friends? That's what friends look like. Yeah, my friends, they went boating with me today. Yeah, and they helping me with the finishing touches on the dock here. So yeah, but it's like this all the time. Hardly any people on this lake. I just love it here. Anyway, that's what it turned out like. Very, very pleased. It's better than I thought it was going to be. This green stuff here, that's that bloom. It'll wash off the dock, no problem. I'm not even going to wash it off. It'll wash off. Another thing I'll show you here. You see these connectors down here. Now the dock is made out of aluminum, but where the dock is connected, like there's 4 of them here, and where those other sections are connected, that's steel. You can't weld aluminum to steel, so you have to bolt it on. But I've had aluminum pieces before on my old dock. That one over there, I originally had aluminum pieces, and it only lasted about a year. It just sheared right off, and like you can really damage your boat or something if your dock comes apart like that when you're not here, right? So yeah, definitely I went with steel to connect it, and yeah, I think that's all. It's just the steel connectors, and that's the only steel on the dock. The rest is aluminum. The whole idea was to get the dock as light as possible so that we could take it apart. And you see there's not a lot of room on the shore over there. That's why you can't pull a whole dock up. So we'll be taking these off. We'll be taking the sections of wood off and piling them on the shore, and then taking the pontoons off the bottom, and then standing the frame up over there. Like I've got a lot of room all along the shore there. You can see way down there, that's the next place. So I've got all this room to store it over here. So I'm not hurting for room, but like I said, you couldn't pull a whole dock up on the shore. But you see how broken up that one is. What we were doing was just pulling it up on the shore, and it looks like it's okay now, but in the spring and fall, when you get the big storms and the water level's higher, it's just pounding it against those rocks over there and poking holes in the floaties, and so that's no good. That was the whole point of building a new dock. and one that could come apart easily, much easier than one of those could come apart. And even if you could take that one apart, it would still be a lot heavier, the wood, than the aluminum is. Anyway, I'm glad you guys were able to join me for this little project that my son and I did. I think that was the best part of the whole thing, was a project that I got to do with my son. We spent a lot of time together over the last couple months. I think we were ready to kill each other by the end, but but we survived. And he probably did 3/4 of the work, which is good. That's good. And I'm really proud of the work that he did, and really happy that we were able to do this. And I hope that you picked up some pointers along the way through this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. I haven't looked at the other sections and put them together yet, but I know it's going to be a long time. Say goodbye, everybody. Bye. Anyway, that's me from Clucas Lake. Beautiful Clucas Lake on Prince George, British Columbia. Take care, everyone.